Good Thursday morning, everyone. How are you on this Thursday? I'm doing great. It's time once again for Arnie's Fantasy World of Sports right here on the Lenny Melnick Fantasy Sports Network. And if you're listening to our podcast on the network or watching it on Facebook, thanks for being with me this morning. A lot of ground to cover and a short time to get there. We've heard that before. Eastbound and down. So, let's start by just talking about a few of the things we saw last night. The New York Yankees were in hotlanta playing the Braves, a doubleheader. And it was not a good offensive night for the visitors. When you play 14 innings and you score one run in each game, you're probably not going to win many. In fact, how about you don't win any? And the Braves put it to the Yankees not once but twice. In game one, Yankee ace Garrett Cole gives up how many? 4 home runs to the Braves. And then in game two, Masahiro Tanaka, through 5 innings, only threw 66 pitches, was taken out of the game, and then the Yankee bullpen proceeds to allow a 2-run homer to Freddie Freeman, and the Braves win 2. Now, the thing that I listened to last night and read about this morning was the criticism of Boone for taking Tanaka out of the game after 5. But no criticism here. Okay, first of all, for those who criticize the move, how many of you have ever been to a game in Atlanta in August? Trust me, it's not like going to a game in New York in August. The humidity is the worst, below sea level, and it will zap you. So the fact that Tanaka, who can oftentimes throw 90 pitches, goes to his manager after 5, after throwing 66, and says, "Skip, I don't have anything left in the tank." Unless you've been there and done that, you haven't been there and done that. They put in Chad Green. He throws a high fastball. Freddie Freeman, being a great fastball hitter, takes it the opposite way for a 2-run homer, and the Braves win. The Braves win. The Braves win. And as we look at the standings this morning, which we're going to go through both American and National League, because that's the way I roll here on Arnie's Fantasy World of Sports. In the American League East, the Rays and Yankees have both lost 11 games. The Rays are in first place. They've played more games. They're 21-11. The Yankees are 16-11. The Yankees are 2.5 out. But what's more telling about the Yankees' plight is not where they are in the standings. Because right now, with a .593 percentage, they have the 6th best winning percentage in the American League. So they are not a lock. They're not a lock. Toronto is 2 games behind the Yankees. Toronto is the 8th seeded team. But what is more telling about the Yankees? 2 things. They've lost 5 in a row. And watching them last night, if you don't think fans in the stands matter, a team like the Yankees, oh yes it does. They are accustomed to big crowds. They don't have any crowd. There's nothing to energize the players but the players themselves. And they're just not getting energized. They've lost 5 in a row. And now they're off today. But over the next 3 days coming up, Friday through Sunday, they play 5 games against the Mets. Now, I know the Mets are not having a stellar year. They're 13-16. They've won 5 of the last 10. They did win yesterday. But the Mets and the Yankees, they just gruel with each other. And it's going to be one of those weekends in New York. So if you're thinking that the Yankees are a free pass into the playoffs, think again. Not saying they won't make it, but they wanted to be one of those top 2 seeds. Tampa right now is a better team than the Yankees. And one of their best players, Austin Meadows, hasn't even started to hit yet. Just imagine if Meadows, over the last month, were to turn it on and play as he did in 2019. Tampa, with a .656 winning percentage, though not the best record in the American League. They have the second best record. The best record in the American League right now still belongs to the Swinging A's out in Oakland. They're 22-10. They have a .688 winning percentage. They've won 2 in a row. They lead their division by 4.5 games over the Houston Astros, who do not play today. They played a doubleheader yesterday because of the pending hurricane. And we hope that everyone in that area is safe and that the damage is minimal. But the real race in the American League is the American League Central. Clevengear comes back last night. And if you watched the game, and I did, Clevengear in the first inning, first batter, Kepler, out of here, home run. So he's down 1-0 after one batter. Not a good way to start. The Twins put together 4 hits in the first inning. With 2 down, Eddie Rosario's on first base hit to right field. The right fielder sort of lollygags the ball back to the cutoff man, and Rosario apparently sees it. He takes off to third. A throw by Cesar Hernandez, a great throw, by the way, cuts him down at third. The inning is over. And from there on, Clevengear only gives up like 3 more hits and only 1 more run. And as the game goes on, Clevengear gets better. I watched him strike out Miguel Sano, and Sano's been swinging a hot bat of late on a 3-2 slider that was nasty. Clevengear back on the team. Now, some reports read it may have been a showcase game. I don't think so. I think it's a showcase game to showcase how good he is and how Cleveland now is a real player in the trade market. Here's my prediction. And I want to see how far I'm into my show here. So I think I'm about 13 minutes in. So 13 minutes in, I'm predicting Plesac, who was sent down to the farm, gets traded over the trade deadline, and they pick up a bat. Look at the standings this morning. Minnesota, 20-12. The White Sox, 19-12. The Indians, 19-12. So you got 3 teams at the top of the division with 12 losses. The only difference there is Minnesota's played 32 games. The White Sox and Indians have played 31. Both the Indians and the White Sox have better pitching than the Twins. And you don't have to look very far. You can look at the start last night in Cleveland from Clevengear. We know they have Tristan McKenzie coming up. And they have the best starting pitcher probably in the American League. Over in Chicago, Giolito, over his last 16 innings, he struck out 23. He had his no-hitter. He's given up no runs. Keuchel's pitching like he did when he was in Houston. Those 3 teams get in of the 8. And I think it comes down to maybe attrition. I think the Yankees make the playoffs because there are 8 teams in the playoffs. Minnesota, Chicago, Cleveland, Tampa Bay, Yankees, Oakland, Houston. There's 7. The question is, who is the next team in? And I think it's Toronto. I think Toronto is one of the 8 teams. Because I think they're better than Baltimore and Boston. I think they're better than Detroit and Kansas City. I think they're better than Seattle and Texas. Now, Detroit making some good moves, bringing their young players up. Jonathan Scope has been hitting like crazy lately. Let's look at the National League. Atlanta leads Miami by 2 games. Philadelphia by 4. The Mets by 4.5. The Nationals by 6. The Nationals have really been a disappointment. Now, I know Strasburg's been out with injury and out for the year. They don't have anyone to take his place. They brought up this young kid, Luis Garcia, who's playing second base and playing it very well and hitting over 300. They've sent Carter Kieboom down to the minor league facility. Asdrubal Cabrera will now be the regular third baseman the rest of the season, it appears. Trey Turner's starting to hit. Soto is a Superman. But it boils down to pitching for the Nats, where they were extremely strong last year, does not appear to be their strength this year. In the National League Central, the Cubs at 18-12 have a 2-game lead over the Cardinals. Look, there are a lot of doubleheaders today. We'll talk about that. We know the Cardinals have more games left to play than any team in the major leagues. They've only played 20 games, where most teams have now played 32. So they're 12 short. They're going to have more games than anybody. And if you're a fantasy player, I've said it before, go look for Cardinals. I picked up a couple. I've got Dylan Carlson in some leagues. This week I went out and picked up a player who's hitting second or third in their lineup. And I don't know if you've even thought about it, but Brad Miller's out there, and he's multi-positional eligible. Paul DeYoung off of the COVID list. There are players out there, Cardinal-wise, guys, who can probably help you in your fantasy league. It's opportunity equates to production. And the Cardinals are going to have plenty of that. The Brewers are 4 games out. The Reds are 6 games out. They've lost 4 in a row. And if I've ever been disappointed in a team this year, it's the Cincinnati Reds. With the talent they have at pitching, and now they're bringing up one of their highly touted prospects. Let's see if I can remember his name. But they're going to put Freddie Galvis on the bench. Okay? Freddie Galvis going to the bench. That's right. They've called up a 22-year-old who's going to be given the opportunity to play shortstop on a regular basis. The Reds just, I don't know. Do they make trades? I think they do. Do they unload a Bauer? I think they do. And, again, one of the most disappointing teams in the major leagues this year has got to be the Cincinnati Reds. The player coming up, Jose Garcia, he's a 22-year-old, one of their top prospects. But look, Garcia, who's going to now be the shortstop for the Reds, he's never played above high A. There's high A, double A, triple A, major leagues. He's in high A. And if you're from around these parts where I live, that means he's not played any higher than the Kinston or Down East Wood does. That's the highest level he has played at. He's 22. It's hard to imagine him being a quality hitter, having only had, at least this year. I'm not saying he can't be over the course of his career. But it's hard to see Jose Garcia having a quality year, having never progressed above that level of play. We shall see. Let's look at the rest of the league and look at the standings as we finish this up. This is where I get to talk about all the teams, okay? Then we'll talk about DFS in just a moment. And thank you for being with me this morning. If you're in the chat room, thank you. If you're on StreamYard or Facebook, you can throw a comment my way. I'll try to answer any questions you have. I get comments after the show, so feel free to chime in. The Dodgers are 22-9, 7-10 winning percentage, best in baseball. The Dodgers right now are best team in all of major leagues. They've won 8 of 10. San Diego's 18-13, 4 games out.